What up, everybody? Big Herc 916, and I'm back for another edition of Military Talk. You know, I know you guys have heard a bunch of prison stories, so we got these military stories from our friend Bernard, retired naval, and man, he got some stories. Bernard, I know you were mentioning you were deployed in Iraq in 2015. Now, for a lot of people over here who maybe have gotten different news and didn't know why Americans were still over there, can you explain a little bit like what you found out why America was over there at that time?
Yeah, so one of the reasons was we were training the Iraqis to fight, which is something they didn't do early on. But another reason was there was a dam in northern Iraq. This dam was very significant, and if this dam was taken over by ISIS, it would flood from northern Iraq down to Baghdad. So we were helping to keep the dam from getting into the wrong hands. So that's what I was told.
So that was almost like a national security issue for that country then.
Yeah, definitely. The country would have been gone, wiped out if that dam broke.
So when did the United States officially pull out of Iraq? You remember, or they're still there?
Still pull out. Pull out game is weak.
Because they said they pulled out.
Even when they told me I was going, I thought we were out of there.
That's what I thought.
I was like, all right. I thought we were done. No, we're still there. Even
now,
when 45, he went over there because we're still there.
Wow, man.
Yeah, we're still there. I have a buddy that I met when I was in Iraq in 2015. After he retired as well, he went over there government contracting. I think he's in Kuwait now, but yeah, he was in Afghanistan right before they did the pullout. He was there first, then he went to Iraq, and now he's in Kuwait.
You know, It's crazy, man, because they're pulling out, all the troops coming, everybody coming home. But then that's just what they show you, but people are still there. And it's almost like Afghanistan, when they showed like the planes taking off and people hanging from the landing gear and all that stuff, man, I mean, it was crazy. And then I watched a thing on Rogan where the guy was talking about he got pulled back in because he was ex-Navy SEAL and he was actually doing privatized work where they were pulling out particular families, but they had like a special list and you had to be on this list and only the people there could be taken out, and there would be extra family members and relatives, and they're like, dude, we can't take you. I mean, did you see anything like that? Have you ever heard anything like that where they were doing that? Because it's like, I know certain people that had certain credentials, they were, accepted to be extracted from the country, and other people couldn't, and they had like, a military base, and basically outside that was the Taliban, and inside the base was like American military.
So I didn't see anything per se, but when I joked about the pullout game being weak, they just drew down numbers from what I heard. It wasn't we pulled out. They just shrunk the numbers. That's all. The numbers shrunk, and then the type of individuals they had there were changed out. So now you'll see more so like special operators over there in that area.
Now,
special forces.
Besides like the Americans, like you said, there was a lot of other countries that were also had interest. I mean, we just see our news, so we think American, but like you said, there was Swiss, there was Canadians, there was France. I mean, everybody is doing the same. Everybody's got invested interest.
Yep, everybody. We had a room where you had all these people, all these different countries. They all had desks.
Isn't that's crazy, man? Because we just think, oh, America, we're all over, but it's everybody now. When that trickles out from that military aspect, do the lines blur when it becomes private? Because I know these private businesses are trying to get over there to get money through some type of business or connection or something. Are those lines kind of blurred at that point?
When I was there, I didn't come in contact with anybody who was on the private side.
Okay.
I didn't. If they weren't introduced to me, and I never came across them. I know we had FBI. You know, we had some of those people working there. But as far as privatized, I don't have a clue if they were. Maybe they were, but you know, I didn't come in contact with any of them.
Yeah, that's interesting because like, you know, when you see, like I said, you see these different movies. I know people are trying to, whether it's to establish an energy resource or a hotel connection or something. There's always a monetary interest. It seems like whenever we have people in these countries, whether it's like you said, Iraq, Afghanistan, or you know, parts of Africa, a resource they're trying to extract, you know, something. You had mentioned that you know, military involvement in some of the drug operations and stuff like that. And I know, like, you know, I always wonder when you see like these different foreign organizations, cartels operating, bringing stuff in, how much of that crosses over from just on like maybe a DEA level into the military?
Like that's those talks and stuff like that. Yeah, those are up there. But like I told you, when we were there and we were doing those ops, and you know we had a bus, and you know that pretty much that was that. But you know it was reported, you know, oh yeah, we had a bus today, we stopped. So we were working along with the Coast Guard. So at that time.
Now, did any of that stuff make the news or not even news?
No.
That's crazy. None of it made the news, huh? Because I know, like, the Coast Guard, from somebody I knew that was in the coast, they used to do a lot of patrolling off the coast of Mexico, and literally they had boats, and these guys would try to have these speed boats and outrun the Coast Guard cutters, and they told them to pull over, and they got 50 cows, like, you don't pull over, and then they just shoot the motors out, you know, and they board the ship. I mean, you heard, I mean, Navy, I know they have patrols too. Was there a lot of that going on when you were in there, or did you hear about any of that stuff, or?
As far as that, that's the Coast Guard. That's their job. Yeah.
Okay.
When it comes to protecting
the borders and stuff, huh?
Yeah, that's their job.
Huh. That's pretty wild. 'Cause I know, like, especially down in Mexico, and you know, like I said, Navy's more, I guess, would be considered more at sea, right, rather than the borders and stuff, huh?
Yep.
Okay. So, you know, now, have you had any interactions as far as like just on a political side and seeing like how things differentiate as you kind of transition up the ladder before you got out, like, you know, dealing with maybe things in DC or other places or in Virginia where it's very politicized and a lot of military concentration?
I would say being in DC, like I mentioned this earlier, there's a lot of stuff that you hear that when you're in other places you don't hear. So why that is, I don't know, but things do seem to be more politicized being in DC and, you know, working in that area, been any place I was at. So.
Well, I know a lot of people don't realize, like, DC, District of Columbia, its own state, its own entity, incorporated, but everything in DC is federal. So that whole little area is basically a federal enclave. Mm-hmm. So, you know, a lot of things that happen in there, you know, you commit any crime, there's no state, you go straight to the feds. So it's a lot different. Is like, compared to other places you've been to in the States, how would you say DC differs? Because I know there's a power elite there that's like nowhere else, and there's a lot of things happening there that, like you said, people have no idea how it operates other places.
I would say, like, since I've been there, it's been a shift. DC used to be the chocolate city. It's been gentrified. It's no longer the case. No longer. Because when I first moved there, like where the stadium is, like where I work at, is near like where the baseball stadium is at. Everything is totally different from when I first got there. So what people used to call the chocolate city, it's no longer the chocolate city.
Is that a shift in because economics, you think, as far as like people coming in and trying to basically push out, and it's more of a class situation? like based on money. So if the people who are having money just seems to be a different demographic that's pushing out another demographic, because I know a lot of times things seem to appear like, oh well, this is for the greater good of the community, but in all sense they're trying to monetarily price people out of certain places.
That's happening a lot. You see that's happening a lot. But I think it's more so when you build a new infrastructure, it's not going to be cheap. And that's,
Yeah.
They're building a lot of new infrastructure, and it does price certain people out, and other people are moving in.
Is it a lot of people from other places, like other states, or do you see just more people being drawn in, and their ultimate goal is to kind of shift the whole focus of entertainment and economics into a different area?
I think what they want to do as far as pushing the city in a different direction, they want to get, the negative things, the negative connotations about the city. They want to change that viewpoint to the world, not just the people in DC, but to the world. So by doing that, there's been a big shift. So certain people are, no longer there, which they move over. I stay in Prince George's County, which is the county next to DC. So a lot of them, the people from DC, are moving to PG County.
Okay.
And PG County is considered like one of the richest, blackest counties in America.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, that's interesting, because I know, just for conversation, like in LA, Inglewood, is a lot of black culture there and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And they built a new stadium not too far from there, the
Yep.
Ram Stadium, and they're building a man-made lake not too far from there with a shopping area, and that's bringing in a different demographic. And if you want to bring in shopping, and business is based on commerce, which is based on people coming in to feel safe.
Yeah.
So if you want people to spend money, feel safe, hang out, destination, you're naturally gonna want to. You're changing the demographic around, and you're starting to buy properties to shift who those properties. Like you said, you buy a property that maybe has been passed down to somebody, and now they sold out. When it goes back on the market, the person who sold out, they can't afford that property no
Yep.
more. So then now the person who comes to buy is a different demographic than who lived there before, and that's a way to kind of push people out. But people are selling voluntarily. They're selling their properties. They're getting offers and they're selling.
Definitely. So one thing I learned living in DC, Georgetown, you heard of Georgetown. So when they first built the metro system, people in Georgetown did not want the metro system because they didn't want a certain type of people there. So they don't have a metro system. But now, guess what? They want a metro stop. They're trying to push to get a metro stop.
Because it changed demographics.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. 'Cause I know
And then it's more money. They'll make more money by having that metro stop because it's hard to find parking in Georgetown. Yeah, the way the shops and everything, but they didn't want it back in the 80s. They didn't want that metro stop. They felt crime would go up.
Yeah, that's I've seen that in California too. I mean, where the metro, certain cities will go into Santa Monica, and now because they have that, they said it's kind of shifted the demographics. But I don't know. California is just a whole nother discussion. But it'd be interesting to see how that is, because like at the end of the day, people want to be able to feel safe. And even if whether it doesn't matter if you're black, white, Mexican, Asian, if you have a business, you want people to frequent your business. You gotta have an environment where people want to actually be there and feel comfortable spending money, wearing jewelry, and enjoying themselves without having to worry about their safety.
Yeah. So I got a quick metro. The first when I got stationed in DC, the first day I rode the metro system, they hit in the afternoon coming home. They had this big crash, like I think maybe like 100 people died.
Damn.
But it was on the line, the red line. I used to ride the green line, but the girl I worked with, she rides the red line. But she said, if it wasn't for you, Humbles, because you walk so fast to get to the metro, I probably would have been on that train. Because after work, I'm gone. I'm trying to get to the metro, so I can get home. But yeah, the metro is crazy, man. Like one time, seen these two you can tell they just came from work. The white guy was like kind of staring at the brother, and the brother was like, "What? Come say it in my face." So the white guy, he comes up to say something to the black guy, punches him, immediately pulls his cell phone out. I've been assaulted. He's right here. He says the Metro stop. So like a couple stops later, Metro police come on. He's just like, like nothing happened. So they took him off. He got arrested. I think they worked together. For them to be having that type of interaction, they must have knew each other, worked together.
Oh, and just got off work at the same
Yeah.
time and dudes talking mess.
Yeah, like one time I seen this guy rounding third base on this handicapped woman on the Metro, going, tonguing her down, rubbing her on the Metro, handicapped woman.
Oh, man.
Yeah,
Yeah, I know Metro in LA, when I first got out of prison, I didn't have no car, so I used to ride that thing. But I know I used to always try to get to the halfway house before like 6, 7 o'clock, because after a certain time, the element changed. There's like, a gang element. It's like, dude, you don't know. You get on the Metro, and it's a different crowd. It's a different vibe on that thing. I don't know if it's like that there, where after a certain time, there's like, certain people on the transit or.
so it's basically says certain lines, like the green line. That's one they tell you not to ride. But like I said, no one ever tried me. I never had an issue, never. So maybe it's just certain people. They can sense something. Sense something in certain people. So.
So there is a high concentration of ex-military in DC working, because I know because a lot of the contracting and stuff is centered in that area, correct?
Yeah, definitely. But part of the reason is because a lot of the jobs in DC, you need a clearance. So if you get out in the military, regardless if you've been out maybe 5 to 10 years, even though it may not be active, it's cheaper and easier to get that clearance back up and running than it is to get a regular Joe Blow clearance.
Okay.
So it's money-wise, saves these companies money and stuff like that to use somebody who's already been in the system.
Okay.
Yeah.
As far as the background checks and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, because a lot of people, at the end of the day, people, especially nowadays, a lot of these youngsters wilding out, doing stuff, and don't realize, like, in the future, there's going to be, a lot of these jobs, they're going to do a background check. There's so much information on you now. All they got to do, they can social media, your Snapchat, whatever dating sites you've been on, they can run that and then see everything you've been on, man.
It's crazy. Yeah, even my time in people, Facebook, that has to be, for some reason, everybody wants to post problems on Facebook, man. Social media. That's one reason why I cut that off, man. It was just, to me, I just had to let it go.
Yeah.
But yeah, you see a lot of people, everybody want to post the problems, their issues with somebody on Facebook, social media, like.
Yeah, I know it's just a whole data.
I've heard of some jobs even asking some people to log in, like during an interview.
Oh wow, to go back and look at their posts.
Yeah, to log in right now. I've heard that. I never experienced it, but I've heard that.
Yeah.
And there was a couple of interviews I did have. There was people who, like, even my LinkedIn, it was somebody on my LinkedIn. I'm like, who was this person? I look, somebody from that company that I had an interview with.
Oh wow, that checked your profile out.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know even with our channel, man, with a lot of the posts people go through, and like you said, man, it's basically a history of this person's track record on social media in your life. So you're making all these comments and you're speaking on certain things, it kind of, and now, they shouldn't ask, but they ask you, like, who'd you vote for? Or what's your political association? It's like, you never used to hear that back in the day. That was all private. So all that stuff now is definitely, coming more to the surface when you're looking for employment or just getting involved in certain organizations. So,
Definitely.
What would you, somebody that's like, retired from the military or that's looking at the military, what would you say as far as what's opportunity-wise been, open to you because of having that background? Did did that give you an extra check mark as far as a plus on your job applications compared to somebody maybe who hadn't been in the military?
Definitely, for every job that I interviewed for, that was definitely a plus. But one thing I would say, the military, they teach you, and this, when I was in, I didn't use this, but when after I retired, I used it and it worked. In the military, they teach you to basically work your supervisor out of a job. So I had this job where I was like, you know what, let me do this. I applied it, and it worked. It worked to where, she was struggling. I said, let me, and I helped her out. I learned everything that she was doing, along with my job. So it lightened her load, and I wasn't, at the time, wasn't looking for pay or nothing. But me learning to work your supervisor out of position gave me a lot of leeway.
So you said work her out of position?
Yeah. Basically, you learn everything she does. You learn everything that your supervisor does, and you help out. And it worked. It worked, like they said in the Navy. Like, I didn't use it then, but it worked to the T.
Yeah.
Yeah, it worked to the T. And they didn't want me to leave when I left.
So you actually became an invaluable asset.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah,
I knew how to work the whole, what we did. So the job was the Physical Disability Board of Review. So any veterans that were medically separated with a 30 or below percentage, we would look at their case if they did application. So I learned how to do from intake all the way to when somebody got their percentage and mailing it back. So working that job, that's one of the craziest jobs I had. Because you deal with veterans. We had a few that were in prison. They did, somebody told them about it. They mailed in the application.
Damn.
We can't deny them.
Yeah.
We got to do everything, by the book. So a lot of the cases, some of the people, we wound up getting their numbers up to where they got a medical retirement. So they would get, money and stuff like that. So we helped a lot of people. That job was rewarding because we helped people out. So it's like some people down on their luck. Oh, thank you. We get, I never expected this money and stuff like that.
So are there a lot of resources that maybe retired military people who have been through, say, combat veterans and stuff that don't know about? So maybe they're not being able to take advantage of that, because you always hear about, ex-military. Mm-hmm. And I know a lot of people on the side of the freeways. I mean, dude, you're lying. You're not ex-military. Mm-hmm. You're just trying to play on somebody's sympathy.
So in the county, some of the stuff is like county-based, state-based. So in the county last year I joined this veterans group. So this guy I met, this is funny. I think it's ironic because I listen to E40. The guy I met, his name is Earl Stevens. So that was kind of ironic. So, he asked me, what's your disability percentage? I told him, he's like, I'm gonna give you this number. You call these people. So they got my number up to 90. And right now we're still working to try to get me to 100. But if I would have never joined that veterans group,
wow,
I never would have met that guy, and that's the information I probably never would have had.
Wow.
So, yeah, the veterans group, we do different stuff throughout the county. Might take us golfing, some golf instructors, different stuff in the county. So we did a bike ride. So it's different. Some stuff is county-based, and some of the stuff, if you just reach out to your local VA, the VA centers, the VA clinics, there's a lot of information out there. Reach out to your state. Sometimes if you just talk to somebody, ask somebody, they may know. A lot of times, I notice people will have the information and won't tell you. And that's a problem, man.
Yeah.
Like that company that my boy put me on, I know people knew that. Never told me. No one told me. If it wasn't for him, I would have never known. People, they get the information when they keep it for themselves and tell people who they want to tell.
Yeah. And then you show up to, oh man, hey. You're like, how long you known about this? Oh, I just heard about it. It's like, yeah, right. You didn't want me to up in here, but you're taking all the benefits, but it's not like it's going to hurt you if you put me up on game to help me get the benefits I need. Because, there's a lot of people out there who serve this country who may be struggling or dealing with, situations. And these are resources that they're entitled to, man. You served. I mean, why not be able to access that and have these resources and opportunities, man? So, I think that's something that's lacking, and it's like almost like you got to go through a dang maze to try to figure out how to get what because you keep getting spun around.
Yeah. Now I got a couple friends who they waited. When they got out, things were different. Like when I got out, they helped prepare your paperwork for the VA so you can try to get your disability. But when a couple of guys I know, when they got out, that wasn't the case. But they try to get better now, like with even information as far as like job interviews. It's called TAP class. So they try to prepare you whether you're separating or retiring. They try to give you resources and information before you leave the military.
So kind of prepare you, so you're not just out there with nothing, and you can, take advantage of like what is the next phase as far as in your retirement.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. Yeah, that's good to know, man. Because like I said, a lot of people I know, even upon retirement, there's other military jobs that are pretty good jobs, and on top of that, with your benefits, and you can have a decent living.
Yeah. So my first job when I retired, I worked at a warehouse. I had a buddy who was from my hometown living in our area. I worked at a warehouse for 6 months. I was like, man, that's some hard work, man. That's some hard work. So I started looking, got a job on the base at Andrews. And ever since then, I've been doing the government contracting. But yeah, it's the crazy thing is, like, every job that I found, I didn't find it. My wife found it. She's like, I think you'd be a good fit for this. All right, let me do it. All right, Simmer. I don't know if she's my golden ticket, but every job that I had, she's like, I think you'd be a good fit for this.
Wow.
Yep.
That's good to know, man.
Yeah.
I mean, like I said, we have a lot of young people that need to hear this. So, hey, there you have it from Bernard, Big Herc 916, Military Talk. Stop walking around with a crusty butt, smelly ball sack, and a funky hoo-ha. Big Herc said, wash that ass. Pick you up a t-shirt at freshoutseries.com.